What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. The name is Santilwave III of SL3 Simulations. Today is very exciting as I have some goodies to share with you. But before all that, let me just thank you all from the bottom of my heart. My mods have been very well accepted, very well welcomed, and it has received wide support from everyone in the community. It is you that has kept me making all these mods. So again, from SL3 Simulations, a big thank you to all of you for supporting the product. These activities will be nothing without the support from the community and for guys like you. So anyway, enough for the drama. Let's continue to the order of business. Now again, if you're not very familiar with the A320, this mod might prompt you to ask, is this necessary? My usual answer to that is no, it is not necessary. You can still use the product without this modification. And again, in the name of realism, every bit of enhancement that adds up to your immersion counts, especially for the more serious enthusiasts and real-world pilots alike. To explain briefly why this mod is made, the Thrustmaster comes with this knob, of course. It mimics the pull handle below the main handle, but it doesn't do anything. Of course, you can move it along the path to the detents and nothing else. The real Airbus, however, has a locking mechanism, which means that for every detent position, it is impossible to accidentally move the lever to another detent position without unlocking it. And the way to unlock it is by lifting this lever here to release it from the lock before you can move it to the next detent. That's how the real flap handle works. And also for the form factor, the real handle is much larger, almost like an oval squarish thing. So this mod is trying to mimic the feature of the real flap handle of the A320. So the kit comes with these pieces here. From left to right, we have here the detent plates. And yes, I chose to use acrylic over FDA prints. Acrylics are cheaper, faster to fabricate, and also smoother when it comes to friction between two moving parts. We have here a bunch of screws and nuts, a 3D printed washer. This is our detent rod coupled with a detent puller handle, a spring, the base bracket. This one holds everything in place. We have here a stand-off spacer, the main handle, flap handle, which is modeled very closely to the real thing, but only about 90-95% the size. The reason for that is because the real size of the Airbus handle is much bigger and it looks awkward on top of the Detent TCA. So I just reduced the size a little bit to have a pleasing proportion with the rest of the levers. And of course, we have our 8mm tubing here. So the next order of business here is to assemble our detent plate. You need these parts next. So first, and this is very important, and I explain to you later. You notice that one of the plates has a cut notch here at the corner. Now the one with this cut here should be the one on the left, as it is assembled like this. So first order is we attach this spacer between these two holes here. So one goes there, the other one goes here. Of course, you have to put in the. At this point, don't over tight things because we probably need some adjustment allowance here in case of discrepancy in the fitting. So now you see the other plate has a cut at the corner. So when you look at this thing like this perspective here, the one with the cut should be in this side here. Now these two, you'll see a pair of screw holes here for both plates. And they should sit nicely on this bracket here, both sides. So as easy as it looks, the plates slides into the bracket like so, and it is easy for it to fit because there's some gutters at the corner of the bracket, so the plate sits nicely into the corner like so. And you will see the screw holes align. So that is where we mount the screw. So you come up with this mount, and then you have to do it on the other side. Same thing, the plate sits on the corner of the bracket like so. And then we mount the screws. Alright, so there you have it. There was a bit of gymnastics there, but assembly is quite straightforward. You just follow along what we're doing here in the video. So now we have this detent plate. We have to set it aside at the moment. You need two Allen keys here, the 2mm and the 2.5mm. Of course, a standard screwdriver, Phillips screwdriver, and anything with a thin rod like this. And I'm going to show you later why we need this. And of course, you can't open the enclosure without removing this handle here and these two knobs here. So this is where you need the 2mm by unscrewing this screw here. If this is the first time that this handle knob is removed, in your case it might need a bit of force to unscrew it, like so. So just continue to unscrew it and just gently lift it up like so. And of course these two knobs has to be lifted up so we can remove the cover. This one you just gently pull it up like that. And this one, if it is the original that you have, you can just gently pull it up. But if you have applied one of my mods, which is the lift to unlock parking brake handle, you might be using a screw here, or maybe a piece of masking tape around the shaft, or a bit of glue to fasten this place. So I'm sorry, you have to lift it up because you cannot remove the cover with this on. So like that. Now you may have noticed that this unit is almost identical to the speed brake unit. I would say Thrustmaster has used the same mold to save cost. You might be surprised to see after you uncover this that the interior is almost identical to the spoiler unit rather. And similarly, underneath this are 6 screws that you have to unfasten, 4 of which is covered by this rubber footing here at the corners. So you have to pry this up like that, and 2 at the center. So we have to unscrew them. The next order of business is to prepare the flap unit for the assembly. Now this is where I don't like to call this 100% non-destructive, and that is because if you notice something here in this cover, if you compare this versus your unit, you'll notice that there is a cut here at the edge. Now this cut is necessary. The reason to that is when we mount this bracket here, like so. These two plates actually sits on the side, and if we don't cut this thin sheet of plastic here, it gets in the way and it will crumble here at the center. But there's no harm in cutting this. In fact, I'd say you can totally remove this. I think this serves as a cover, a dust cover if you will, that spans all the way to the sensor underneath the pivot here. But no harm cutting it, just a little bit, maybe 3 millimeters from the edge. You just follow along the shape of this cut here. It goes from this side and right to the corner, and then you cut it from the corner like so. The next thing to do, this could be the, I'd say, a bit trickier part, but if you follow along, it should be quite straightforward. Now this is where this thin rod comes handy. Now you can use any rod about this size. Maybe you can use a small Allen key like this. And the reason to that is that this rod here is held by a pin at the end of the socket here. So see that metal pin here? It goes through this solid rod here, through the bracket. So what you need to do is to push that out. So with this position, you just simply push this metal pin slowly, like so. You hear that? And when you look at the other side, you should see that it pops out from the other side, and this is where it is quite straightforward from there. With the pliers, you pull the pin out. There you go. That's the pin. So now that the pin is out, the next effort here is to pull this rod away from the socket. Now this will take a little bit of effort, as this fitting is quite tight. You need some effort to pull this off, and I think this portion you have to be a little bit careful so as not to break your pivot assembly here. So my suggestion is to support the base unit with your other hand like this, and then gently pull this rod with your other hand. It might require a bit of effort, but this thing should budge. There. And the reason why we have to replace this, now I prefer this because this is solid, sturdy, strong, but we have to replace this for this mod, and the reason to that is because we require a much longer rod for the whole system to work. Otherwise our pull action will not work with this length. So the replacement, and you see the difference in length that we need. This is our 8mm, which is exactly the same diameter as this rod here. Since you won't be removing this again in the future, use our super glue here to apply some amount here at the tip, and then insert it like that. That should be enough. And then shove it in with a bit of twist all the way like so until you cannot push it no more. I like to use that phrase a lot, until you cannot push it no more. Right, so give it a bit of maybe 5 to 10 seconds to fully cure, and then we go to the next step. Now, to those of you who have used one of my mods, which is the spoiler arm disarm, you should notice by now that this unit, the flap unit, is almost exactly the same as that unit. Again, presumably Thrustmaster uses the same mold to lower the cost. Very identical, with the exception that this one is using a different board, but everything else, the assembly, the mold, the plastic structure, including these two most important screws that we need for this mod, is there, and it is there to hold the default tensioner. So our next step here is to unscrew this, and that is where we fix our detent assembly. So let's do that. Now it is easier to do it this way, especially if you have a Phillips screwdriver with a magnetic tip, to stick your screw and the washer at the tip of the screwdriver, so we can partially put the screw here on the holes like that, and do the same on the other one. Right, so you should see both screws popping out from the other end, and that should be easier for us to mount this whole thing into this surface. So put the lever upright, then you just put this whole thing into its place like so. You can feel the screws fit into the holes there. Now this is where this cut comes into play. You notice a cut here, and that is because the base of this plastic has some bulge in the surface. You see that? This thing here, this cut is necessary for a better fit. So there you go. Let's align the screw to the holes and tighten them. So there you go, we have our bracket. So the next order of business is to install our detent rods here. This short rod should be facing forward like so. So let's insert it on top here like that, and you should see the thing just glide smoothly into the other tube here. So in goes the spring, followed by our washer. Now if you notice, the washer is chamfered on the other side, so the side with a chamfer should be facing up like so. Next step is to replace back our cover. So at this point, you should notice that the spring is starting to push against our cover. Replace first the two screws at the center so that we have a nice balance for both ends here. Okay, so let's give it a try. Pull it, and there it goes. Snappy. So the next step is to install this puller handle here. Now this could be a bit tricky, and I will show you why. We ship it with this screw here that you can use to fix it on the outer tube. Now take note that too tight setting of this screw will actually prohibit you from pulling this tube, and that is because when you tighten the screw too much, it creates a tension, a press against the inner tube, and that means you will develop a tension between the two tubes, and it will be a bit harder for you to pull it off. And too loose, on the other hand, doesn't hold the outer tube, so once you pull it, the puller will slide off from this tube here. So either you use this screw to fix this, or in my opinion, for my case, I don't use the screw. Instead, now again, I use my trusty Alteco CA glue here to apply a bit on the outer tube and fix this thing there. It looks cleaner and it's stronger, and I don't see a reason why I have to remove the mod, so I can keep it there permanently. But you can try to use the screw first. So just like that, insert this on top. Now you will notice there's a bit of tension as you insert it, and I did it on purpose to make the fit a little tighter for this handle and the outer tube. That way. So it's entirely up to you if you want the screw to be facing you. That's how the real thing looks like, I guess. Or you can twist this so the screw faces away from you. I mean, that's a personal preference, whichever way works. In our demo here, let's just say we follow how the real nut looks like. So now this is the tricky part here I was talking about. Let's tighten the screw bit by bit, like that and give it a try. Okay, I think it looks like I hit the spot. Now what I was trying to say earlier is, let's say we over tighten it. See, now that is what I was talking about. Now it's much harder for me to pull this up, and that is because the screw is pressing against the inner tube. So let's loosen up a little bit, too loose, and this whole thing will slide off when you pull it. See that? So there's a bit of play here. You should find the right spot, the right amount of tension for the thing to hold. Keep it there and don't lose up when you pull it up, like so. Right, so now that we have it in place, we can give it a try. See that nice snap in there? Right, feels really nice. So the last step we have here is to install the mushroom head. I like to call it mushroom head. So this thing, again, I modeled this based on how the real Airbus lever looks like, but a little bit smaller, so as not to look very awkward in terms of ratio. Now again, this thing comes with a screw. I will ship it with a screw, but I don't see a reason for you to uninstall this mod unless there's really some good reason why you have to do so. My suggestion is, again, use the trusty glue here. Put a dab here on the hole, or maybe on the tip, the rim of this outer tube here, where you can mount this on top, like so. And then there we have it, folks, our modified Thrustmaster flap unit with the SL3 mod. And now it feels really nice. You get that snappy detent, and the most important thing is the immersion you get. Maybe the tension is different, maybe the size is different. We have the option to remove the default click here, as we no longer use the default detents, although it is still aligned. And of course we have to, if you are using the fly-by-wire A320 or the Phoenix A320, I highly advise to recalibrate your flaps so that to ensure that the new detents still aligns with your simulator settings on the flap settings. So you do that on the simulator and then you're good to go. So I'd like to say at this point, this is the 5th iteration of our DIY series for the Thrustmaster TCA Quadrant. I'm not sure whether we can further enhance this unit. I cannot think of any more mods that we need to do on the system. I think we have done all we can to make the unit as realistic as possible. If you have any comments and suggestions, I would like you to drop a note in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and again, if you are new to the channel, if you haven't subscribed, I would appreciate it if you hit the like and subscribe button. It helps the channel a lot. Once again, thanks for watching, and hope to see you again on my next video. Take care and have a pleasant day.